I don't know if it's coincidence that I'm wearing the Ego t-shirt for this video or if it's just something that I just decided to do, but I'm just sick and tired of wrestlers telling us how to be fans. I'm sick and tired of just hearing wrestlers just be all like, oh, you're a fan. Just relax. Just sit back and enjoy what you're watching. I am honestly sick and tired of it because seriously, it gets annoying. Just knowing that like my opinion and my voice at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter to not only those behind the scenes of professional wrestling, but to the wrestlers themselves. Because they are just such sensitive human beings that they just cannot accept and understand that what you're giving us is a product. That what you're giving us is something that we, as the consumer, pay our hard-earned money for. So sorry if some of us expect something different. Sorry if some of us are a little bit harder. It doesn't mean that we're negative to the product. I don't think that a lot of people are thinking like, oh, I come on here to make YouTube videos just to wanting to be negative. No. Sure, negative videos get a little bit more views than the positive videos, but when it comes down to it, I would love to just talk about pro wrestling and try to share the message that pro wrestling brings. But here's the thing. I am not going to suggest mediocre crap to my friends. I am not going to sit here and be like, you got to watch WWE. No. I'm not going to suggest mediocre shit. Like, do you guys go to a mediocre restaurant and tell your friends, oh yeah, you should eat at that place? Why? Oh, it's okay. You don't suggest your friends mediocre stuff because then you become that guy that's just the worst food person. You want to be known as like when you suggest a food place, you guys go there and you're like, oh man, Chase, that one breakfast place you showed me, that shit was the bomb. Thanks for showing me that. It's like, yeah, man, no problem. That's the thing. When it comes down to wrestling, we just don't accept mediocrity as fans. I don't know. Some fans do accept mediocrity. That's their business. Because it's like the funny thing is, it just feels like the negative voice gets heard louder than the positive voice. It's just like whatever is a trending negative thing, like Backlash, for example. Backlash got all this hate. Heck, I didn't even do a review on it because I was disgusted with that show. That's how bad that show was. I just said, nope, it's not even worth trying to do a review. I did 12 takes of trying to sit here and record a review. I just couldn't get through it because I was just getting pissed off the more I talked about the show, and I was just like, nope, I don't want to do this. And so this led to a lot of the wrestlers, especially Frankie Kazarian, who had the biggest tweet of saying how you should be a wrestling fan. Well, Frankie Kazarian, I'll turn this on you with your giant-ass ego because you clearly are a pro wrestler and you clearly know better than me because I'm just a common nobody. So, just saying, Frankie Kazarian, if you're watching or if any wrestler's watching this video, should you not comment on MMA fights at all? Yeah, granted, maybe you are friends with some MMA fighters and you have trained one session, but does that mean you can't comment what's going down in an MMA fight because you're just a fan? What about in football? Are you allowed to say that Bill Belichick should have not run the football on first down, should have used Brady to pass it? Are you allowed to just say that? Because, once again, I don't know if you play football. You probably played some high school like myself or anything like that. I mean, but you're not allowed to comment on football, right? You don't know the inner workings of football. You don't understand the X's and O's and what play does what or what HB38 does and where the running back is running and which hole he has to pick through. I mean, really, to be honest here, that if we're going by that logic, none of you wrestlers should comment on anything else in this world. You should not comment on how people handle your luggage. You should not complain if you get bad food, because if we're not allowed to complain about your product or your service, you're not allowed to complain. Do you see how half-assed backward this is? And the thing is, if I share this with Kazarian, or if I shared this with any other producer in WWE, Impact Wrestling, ROH, New Japan, or just anyone in general that's in the wrestling business, you know what they're going to do? Instead of sitting there and actually listening to a fan trying to explain to them how reviewing shit works or just how we are as wrestling fans sometimes, they're just going to sit here, call me ignorant, say I'm just negative for no reason, and just block me on Twitter. Because that's what they do. They just sit there and they just block people on Twitter because they're just like, oh, someone challenged my opinion and it was a good one. Well, I'm not going to listen to it because I'm just going to block it on Twitter. I don't get that. Why tweet something that you know is going to get response from a lot of fans, that you know people are going to challenge you on, and you're just going to block them on Twitter? How is that good fan interaction? How is that good to your consumer? Because here's the thing. I'm not always trying to be negative about wrestling. I really aren't. I am just saying when I'm reviewing a product, I don't try to make mediocre stuff sound great or good. Sorry. I don't settle for mediocre. Neither should any of you pro wrestlers or people in this world. If you just settle with mediocrity, that's just on you. But for me personally, I'm someone that reviews stuff and I try to make it where it comes off as like, it's not saying like I hate the product or anything like that, but comes off as saying, hey, this guy's just telling me this is not a recommended show. And that's all I'm trying to get people to do. I pay my hard-earned money and I don't make a lot of money. You know, let's just be frank here. I don't make a lot of money. I'm a college student in debt. I don't make a lot of money. So this is a form of entertainment that I pay for to, you know, get a release, get an escape. This is something that I pay for because it gives me enjoyment. But if I pay for it and I'm not getting enjoyment out of it, how is it really paying me back? How is it really doing anything for me? And I just think that wrestlers need to understand, us as fans, yes, I get it. You hear more negativity than you do positivity, but don't get it twisted. There are people who are positive about professional wrestling, and there are positive aspects of pro wrestling. It's not like pro wrestling is just this bowl of negativity. Trust me, I enjoy some of the workers that I watch wrestle in wrestling. I enjoy some of the performances that these people give, some of the characters that I see. I just feel like that these characters are not being executed to their full potential. And that goes for all companies, not just one. I know a lot of people are saying, Chase, you're talking about WWE, right? No, I'm talking about all these companies. I watch all these companies and I say, this character's not being used right, this character's not being used right, and this character's not being used right. That's just when it comes down to it. I like aspects of pro wrestling. It's just that the execution of pro wrestling as of late has just been mediocre to bad. Don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, you'll cross over to that good line. But then when we get to that good line, fans start thinking it's great, and it gets overblown to proportions. All I ask is if any pro wrestlers, even if you're an indie wrestler that, you know, you just started or anything like that, don't just tell your fans to just be fans. Listen to your fans. If someone gives you a legit criticism that you feel like you could use to improve on yourself, listen to it. Because here's the thing, I don't consider my subscribers my fans because that's just weird to me. I'm an average 25-year-old dude making YouTube videos. I mean, I don't think that deserves fans whatsoever. But for people who are my viewers and who I connect with on Twitter, if they give me criticism on my videos, I don't sit there and be like, you guys never made a video before. No, I listen. I try to figure out how to keep on improving this channel. Because one day I would love to have my own podcast. One day I would love to have my own video podcast, or I don't even know what the future is going to have, holographic podcast. And without people giving me advice to help me, I won't improve. And the professional wrestling business, it's not going to improve unless it starts listening to people who actually want to help it and actually want it to improve. Because a lot of us reviewers, I know it comes off that we're just negative assholes and we just want these companies to fail. But ultimately, when we critique something and we're going hard on something, it's because we want this shit to improve. We're tired of mediocrity and we're just not going to settle for it.